Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the 283rd meeting of the Equal Employment Practices Commission to order. Director of Audits, Menelik also, can you please read the call of commissioners?
Chair and Commissioner Alderman Mia.
Present.
Vice Chair and Commissioner Elaine Reese.
Present.
Commissioner Minoska Alcantara. Commissioner Ngozi Okaro.
Present.
Commissioner Nicole Yearwood.
We have quorum. The first order of business will be the approval of the minutes. The first minutes for September 4th, 2025. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have
Second.
second? Any conversations? I mean, any friendly amendments to the minutes?
No, I like the new design of a note.
Okay, nice. So all in favor of the approval of the minutes, say aye. Abstentions? Nays, hearing none, the motion passes. Next, we have the approval of the minutes for September 15, 2025. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
So move. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Yearwood. Any conversation regarding these minutes? So all in favor of approval of the September 15, 2025 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, hearing none, the motion passes. Next, we have section 3, the approval of audit resolutions, 2025 final determination resolutions. And for that, I turn to the Director of Audits, Menelik also.
So we have 2025 compliance resolutions for the New York City Council, the Office of the Richmond County Public Administrator, the Office of the Kings County District Attorney, Manhattan Community Board number 2, Manhattan Community Board number 1, the Mayor's Office of Contract Services, and the Office of the Richmond County District Attorney.
Thank you. If there's no objections, I'd like to put the motion forward as a bundle.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll recuse myself from number 2.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll do a bundle of everything except resolution number 4, which is community board. Oh,
No, 2.
Oh, the Richmond County Public Administrator.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So a bundle with the exception of resolution 2. All in favor of passing the 2025 compliance resolutions for every resolution except line item 2?
So moved.
So move. We have a motion by
Second.
Commissioner Reese. We have second by Commissioner Yearwood. Any discussion? All in favor of approval of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Then we'll have a motion to approve resolution 2025 AP 283-945, which is the Office of the Richmond County Public Administrator. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Reese. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Okaru. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Nays and abstentions. 1 abstention, Commissioner Yearwood. We have no 2025 final determination or compliance resolutions. And then we have section 4, old business. The first part, status of EEPC personnel hirings and promotions, will be discussed at executive session. The second part, status update of Controller's Office audit. I turn to Director of Audits, Menelik also.
So the main update is that since the last meeting, the comptroller has given us the final report. So we had the draft report at the last meeting. We submitted our response. We've gotten the final report that included our response, and same recommendations and information they just added that we agreed with their recommendations.
Okay. Thank you. Any discussion or conversation from?
Yes,
commissioners
I
on
want
this
to
point?
thank the staff for their hard work and for what appears to be a fairly clean report from the controller. And so thank you very much on behalf of, certainly on behalf of me, I think on behalf of all the commissioners.
Yes. Thank you. Next, we have audit standards update, subsection C. Would that be
Yes.
Director?
So
Audits?
at a prior meeting, we did provide you all with draft audit standards. I know you all are going to take some time to kind of look at them and see if you have additional comments, edits, focus, or direction. So just following up regarding the
I plead, lethargy, and could you please resend them to me?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I did look through the
And
packet.
would I also suggest that we get back to you before our next meeting? So just remind us maybe a week before that you want to hear from us.
Because this was the spreadsheet, right, that we got, we received a spreadsheet.
That was one of the items.
Okay.
And then we also gave a document that had them written out as well.
Okay. Was that something that was emailed prior? Because maybe I could try to find that email.
Not, but since the last meeting, but prior to the last.
Oh, before.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I thought.
Resend them to me.
Yeah.
I plead ignorance.
Yeah, that's all I have.
In terms of next order of business, subsection D, incidents of sexual harassment in New York City entities update. And I believe that's the work that our agency council is working on.
Yeah, so this is, I left it on everybody's, at everybody's place. This is what I shared a couple weeks ago via email. Yes. So this document provides an overview of what we have looked at so far, any findings and the next steps. Just a quick recap. We had tried to get information from about complaints filed at external agencies at the federal, state, and local level that we're not going to be able to get because of restrictions. We're not a named party, so we don't have access to those complaints. I also recapped in here court cases and ways that we can use what's available to look at court cases, with the limitations in court cases that not every complaint leads to a court case. And with some suggestions how we could go forward if that's something that we wanted to look at. What we got the most information from was the DCAS mandated report. They are by local law, a local law passed in 2018, required to report on sexual harassment complaints filed at each city agency. Each agency is responsible to share their information with DCAS. DCAS puts out a report. I looked at the reports for the last several years. It's actually 7 years worth of data. This research links you to the report. There are limitations in this report. Basically, so the report's supposed to capture the number of sexual harassment complaints filed at that agency in a particular fiscal year, the number of complaints that are resolved in that year, the number of complaints that were substantiated and not substantiated and withdrawn. The limitations on the DCAS data, however, is that it's only information that is from that fiscal year, regardless of when the complaint was filed. So as an example, or just to say, there is no pattern over the years. We can't look at it and say there's been a steady increase or a steady decrease in complaints. Rather, it fluctuates year to year at the agency. Likewise, the number of substantiated complaints fluctuates year to year. Where there is a correlation is the years that the sexual harassment number of complaints has increased, the number of substantiated complaints has likewise increased. You cannot make a link, though, however, to that, because the substantiation might have occurred on a complaint that was filed in a prior fiscal year. So you really can't draw any conclusions from that. I did provide several next steps to consider, and I think the most promising one is something that we had alluded to, I believe, in the September meeting, was to see if we can use the audits as a way of getting information at the agency level. So on the second to last page, there's under bolded number 2, it says use audit questions to obtain more information on cases reported to DCAS. I have listed several several recommendations on the audit questions, including how many of the complaints in a given year were substantiated that year, to see if we can find a link. If there's an increase in complaints that year, have those complaints been substantiated? So to kind of figure out where these substantiated complaints are coming from. I also thought it would be interesting to find out how many of the complaints at the agency level have been filed against a supervisor, because arguably that's even more troubling. Maybe not, but I think that if a supervisor, especially who should be more aware and should be going through these trainings, especially because that might inhibit a complainant from wanting to report it or delaying in reporting it. Another recommendation was to make sure, and the next few are what is already in DCAS's policy. So just to ensure that it is in a agency's policy, that the EEO officer is, there's one qualified EEO officer at each agency who has relevant experience, that in the absence of that EEO officer, somebody who is temporarily assigned is likewise qualified, and to ensure that the EEO officer reports directly to the agency head. And then I think another audit question that would be useful is to find out what percentage of staff has completed the mandated annual sexual harassment training, as well as what percentage of managerial staff has completed that training.
And how about, do they require that training of managerial staff annually?
It is, but whether they have fully complied.
It is a compliance question.
Yeah, so, but we can certainly add that. So if you have any additional comments, questions, any other way that you want me to approach it, I just wanted to share this
I
with
have
you.
a question to
Yes.
ask. So we put this in the audit, and what if they don't respond? And therefore are out of compliance, then what?
I think the way that we handle every other corrective action, it remains open.
Because it's particularly sensitive data, asking whether or not their managers attend the sexual training programs annually. What percentage, then how do you cure that? If it's only a 20% or a 30%, then what are we asking them to cure that, or are they out of compliance if it's not 100%?
Yeah, oftentimes they would be out of compliance, and maybe not, if a little less than 100%, we would potentially be able to work with them, but they would have to be.
I'm just raising what could be problems going forward as we undertake this. I'm not suggesting we don't do it. I'm just saying that we all ought to understand what we're doing. And if what you find is a lapse, let's just say that you find at the police department that there's a less than 50% number that attended, or at the fire department, heaven forbid the dear fire department. What are we prepared to do following up?
Well, I think maybe that's where we can work with DCAS and say our audits are consistently finding this across these agencies, to kind of where we can come up with recommendations to say, we have to make sure that we're following up and not just saying it's required, like put some sort of procedure in place, perhaps.
Well, our own procedure would have the head of that department coming here to explain to us why they're not in compliance. That's what our follow-up is. I just want us to understand what we're doing. That's all.
So there's a local law, right, where city employees every year have to take anti-sexual harassment training, right? Every civil, right? And who does that? DCAS, right?
DCAS does provide a version of that training that's satisfies the law,
the one that produces the certificate for city employees.
DCAS.
Yeah, so DCAS does have one, and most city employees utilize that one. CCHR has one. There's a couple of other one that because for the sexual harassment law, it expands a little more than just city employees in certain regards. So yeah,
Which is the one, yeah, because private sector have to do, but the one that city employees are mandated to do is the DCAS.
Yeah.
Okay, the DCAS. So, so every year, somewhere, and this is, I don't know, the other, so every year we know, for example, Department of Environmental Protection, we know whether their staff and their managerial have filled it out, right? Have completed this.
I don't know what we're capturing now, but that's one of the suggestions to capture it in the
I'm saying
audit.
that data is available.
Not now.
Not, I mean,
yet.
at the, not to us, right? At the agency level. Yeah, they're supposed to be keeping records.
All right. Maybe we'll go, for example, this commissioner here has the EEPC. Well, we have 14 employees, 12 employees. Last year, if the commissioners were to ask, out of the 12 employees, do we have 100% compliance on our employees filling the sexual harassment training, fulfilling the sexual harassment training? Who would be able to give us that answer?
So, yeah, so each agency usually has a training liaison, and they would be able to go into New York City Learn, the city's learning management system, and run a report that itemizes which employees completed whatever trainings that are out there by DCAS.
All right. But then the law says it's supposed to be 100%.
Yeah.
Right. So let's say that under an audit, we were interested in sexual harassment as a topical theme. Then if we were to ask the NYPD or FDNY or OEM or any agency, what % of your staff / then managerial, because you said that it's important to distinguish both, have completed the sexual harassment training, that number is a no, they can find that number. And let's say the number is only 40% of our staff have completed this training, right? Our audit would be in the vein of, well, why is that number, presumably, let's say 40% out of 100 is low, failing, perhaps. Would we say, why is that, or what are you putting in place to ensure that you are meeting the local law of all your employees completing this training? Is that like the nature of what it is we're trying to audit to effectuate actionable change?
So
I think they're out of compliance.
yeah, I was gonna say,
They're out of compliance because the compliance would be 100%.
Right.
If they're anything less than that, what I think Menelik was saying before, suppose they come in at 88%. You may make a judgment that even though that's not 100%, they've got 1,000 employees, and therefore 88% of that is a huge number, and we may not determine that they're in partial compliance, or we might figure out some other way to deal with it.
because sometimes people are on leave,
Right.
There's other things that factor
So
into
this-
them
so-
not allocating.
So a recommendation here is that this is kind of like what you're recommending would be a topical theme for within the audit of a place where we can help move
Oh, I think so.
compliance in this regard?
Yes.
Okay, so that's one of which I understood.
So do
Then-
you want us to approve the questions, or do you want to put them in your audit? What do you want us to do?
I mean, I think if you see the recommendations here for the audit questions that I listed, I would say we put them in the draft that's coming to you, and it would be part of, if you think that all of them should be in, we can.
And there's no way now or a place for us to get % of managerial or staff that have completed the sexual harassment training. There's nowhere I can go to get 144 agencies in one column and in the second column %, so that we can use our.
You could run the report.
You said that the training has it for all the agencies?
Yeah, so each agency, when they get access to the New York City Learn system, whoever the training liaison is, there is a report they can run for each of the various trainings to see basically the percentage of employees that have completed the training. Sometimes we have heard that what the information DCAS has on like current staff based on who's actually there can sometimes need to be reconciled. But outside of things like that, they are able to generate the report. The other thing that sometimes comes up is that for agencies, sometimes like the NYPD, where they have maybe some staff that are in the field, they might have instructor-led training sessions for them to complete the training as opposed to doing it on the online. So then they would have to make sure that information gets into the system for that to show up in a report. So outside of scenarios like that, in general, they are able to go into the system.
But can we go to one entity and get it for all the agencies?
That's something we can maybe explore with DCAS. Yeah, if they would be able
They have the
to.
NYC Learn platform.
Yeah, they
That's
have the
their
platform, so we would have to reach out to DCAS and see if they could provide us with that.
Because that way we can focus on the ones that, a percent that we feel, whether it's 70% threshold or 80, given what you said about turnover and staff changes. Sometimes it's done in person, not online.
I'm somewhat confused. If we put it in our audit so that we get the information with our questions, then we're looking at a span of over 4 years because we've done it. If we're asking DCAS, we will have their records as of now, and it would be for all of the agencies as of now, but we would not have any. The way that we can do anything is with compliance. Otherwise, we have no ability to alter anything. We could focus on some of those agencies by doing an audit now, but short of that, I don't know how we have any other enforcement. The only enforcement that I understand that we have is non-compliance. We have no other remedy that we can utilize. So you're right, Alden, we could get that information now. But my then question is, then what? Whereas what's being proposed is an information, or getting the information under a procedure and process whereby we at least have some ability to change something.
Yeah, no, I think getting a current snapshot lets us do two things. I mean, number one, from your recommendations, I would say what from here might help us draft language for a legislative remedy, or to create a local law to help in some way, right? The second one, getting everything, would help with a press release, or will help put if all agencies are 80% or above in compliance, not much of a story. If you have agencies right now with a cross section that are under 60%, 50%, it gives us a sense of the scale of the problem. And might help, with the urgency of not only doing the audit, but helping other city agencies kind of like focus on this. It might influence a conference that we do. It might help the new incoming ED to get on various commissions and committees and bring this data to others, So it may play a variety of different roles. But if every agency is 80% or better, we may say, hey, there's no there in terms of sexual harassment training. But if you feel that, if we see that large organizations have really low compliance in that local law, and the local law is a local law, but there's no teeth to it, and there's no compliance.
Right, there's no follow-up, nobody to even check it.
I want to separate training from actual harassment. So I can have attended the training and I'm still a harasser.
No, I know.
We are looking at substantively, I think, is trying to get the actual data of whether the harassment occurs. The fact that I've taken the training, that's fine. I know it's wrong, but I'm still doing it.
Yeah, no, that's just one. We haven't ended the conversation. That's one.
I don't know what the training, what attending the training is symbolic of, actually, that we're doing something that's pro forma. It doesn't mean that it takes. And so where I am is the questions here are trying to see what.
Well, these kind of trainings are important. No one here is disputing that trainings are not important, but trainings are important not only for the educational capacity of it and the organizational behavioral change aspect of it, but the reporting aspect of it. I can't tell you how many times after a training there's an uptick on complaints. Because people now realize how they're kind of, they have someone to call, they have someone to email. They don't necessarily have to like kind of do these kind of sexual favors for overtime, or they don't have to do these kind of other things. And
Or they don't even know it's inappropriate.
So yeah, that elbow thing, right? You're not a touch commissioner, you would.
On the shoulder.
Pardon me, it
Touch my
was the shoulder.
shoulder.
Yeah, so trainings are important. I agree with you. It's not the whole story. So what else part of the story in an audit can we like look at? You mentioned that the number of complaints, the absolute number of complaints for an agency, that's available, right? Or that's not available.
That is available.
Like just like the NYPD in 2025, we see that such and such agency received such and such number of complaints on an agency.
Yes.
Yeah, and that number
And that's,
and it's variable, right? Some agencies have very little or no complaints, and others maybe have a lot of complaints.
yes, that's why I think it's important to put it in the audit, because then we're able to separate rather than getting a total number of, at this agency, we have 80% compliance with training. This agency, we have 90%. This agency, we have 40%. That's just part of the picture. You could have an agency that year after year is getting a high number of compliance and a high number of people completing the training, but meanwhile, year after year, their number of substantiated complaints is increasing. So there's a disconnect there. You're getting the training, but they're not actually addressing the trend that has been happening. That's why I think it's important to go agency by agency rather than just getting this number of training.
Got it. So, and actually, it's not even the complaint, right? That we're interested in. It's the substantiated complaints.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that column, because what I don't want to do, right, as an EEPC, I don't want to go to an agency and ask them, what's your compliance on the sexual harassment training? How many substantiated claims you have? If I can get that data elsewhere in bulk from the authoritative archival, whoever that body is that keeps track of that. I want to go to that agency and not ask them, how many substantiated complaints do you have? I want to go to them and say, how come you've had 78 substantiated claims this year, and last year there was 42, and and like, what are you, like, what I mean? It's a different conversation.
Right, and that's why the data that exists in the DCAS report is it's limited as to what we can do with it, because it's not substantiated complaints that year. It's complaints that were substantiated in a particular fiscal year, regardless of when they were filed.
Yeah.
So it could have stretched over the course of 2 fiscal years, but so it's a little, I think we need to be able to be, there's only so much level of specificity that the DCAS report can, because they're reporting on all agencies.
Got it. So in terms of, because a lot of this has to do with culture. So the substantiated claim might have been in fiscal year X, but it's not really partners because that might have been initiated 2 years earlier.
Right.
All right, but that's very an insightful data point as well, right? Because what justice denied or justice delayed, justice denied. So are we talking multiple fiscal years? In the data?
We don't know. We
Can't
don't
find
know.
out
And that's
data.
the audit would help us, because then they would, it's over a 4-year period. They could say in this year we had this number of complete, that is what these audit questions would hopefully give us more information on.
See whether or not there's been improvement or not.
Correct.
And we can telegraph that what we're interested in is making sure that complaints do not just remain in some ether somewhere and then take really long to resolve. And that's something within the agency's power, right? That they can kind of resolve complaints or substantiate complaints in a shorter window, if in fact we see that the window is too long.
Well, they're supposed to, statutorily, they're supposed to investigate within a certain amount of time and respond. that doesn't mean that they always do, and sometimes there are delays, but the complainant needs to be kept apprised of the delays and the reasons that they haven't yet heard. It might not even be that there is a delay in getting a response to them. It's because we're looking at a fiscal year. So if somebody files a complaint at the end of one fiscal year, it could be still substantiated or not within the
30 or 60 days.
whatever it is, but it went into the next fiscal year. So there might not even be anything there either. That's why I think it's important to kind of drill down at the agency
So
level.
the audit that we're speaking about will get to all those different nuances. It depends.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
yes.
The word that, that's what, I think that's what commissioners are interested in, kind of actionable part of it. Any other comments?
No, I appreciate you all thinking further about how to get information and not giving up. So thanks for these ideas. I really love all of them, especially number 2, right? While we're doing an audit, we can just ask more questions. Yeah.
And see if it gives us any insight and further clarification on next steps.
Repeat what the chair was saying. It really goes to cultural change. To the extent that we are investigating it and honing in on it, that will spread through from HR through to others within the agency, I assume. I mean, HR reports up to the chair of the head of the particular unit, and the fact that we're drilling down, they put a greater emphasis on it as well. Who knows?
And in terms of at the end of this continuum, so in terms of cases that are adjudicated and settlements,
So if you recall, we asked the comptroller and they don't have it. The sexual harassment cases fall under.
But the
Yes,
agency will know. We
the
should ask,
agency would know.
the agency will know whether a case has been settled, and we might add that question, figure out a way to add that question
Okay,
in.
yeah.
I mean, we want to know if so, and then you don't have to know the exact amount, but you can give a range of amounts, A, B, C, D, the same way we give ranges. And that may give us finally some sense about whether we're helping save money. So let's ask the money question.
okay. Do you have any other related information in
No.
regards to your report? Thank you for the report, for the
Thank you very
For the
much. And thank
research
you for the
you've been
question.
and I'm only stating the obvious, but we really want the audit questions to be right, to have a real impact on moving the needle in the right direction, Mr. Moore. So the more we can think and rethink and relook at audit questions, see what is it actually measuring people, things people actually care about, or people actually could do things about these things, the closer we get to those kind of wording, the better. Next, section 5, audit update, 2024 audit plan status update. Elective audits.
Yeah. That corresponds to one of the sheets you all have. So for the 2024 audit plan update, we only have one 2024 agency left, the Office of the Kings County Public Administrator. If you recall at the last meeting, this was the agency that we mentioned we may have had to bring in for a meeting. Since then, we did send them a letter, and myself and Adriana have had several productive conversations with the agency, and we have been able to get their number of corrective action from 16 down to just 2.
All right.
So they're on pace. They have a path forward for the remaining 2, and we anticipate them getting into compliance within the next maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Well in time for the next meeting.
Terrific.
It's to get phone calls from a lawyer and audit. Things hit differently.
They didn't want to come in and meet us.
Next, we have the 2025 audit plan status update.
Yes, so for the 2025 audit plan, the other sheet you have, so the agencies highlighted in green are the ones that we voted on in section 3B on the agenda, but also at this time, we have all the final determinations issued, and in terms of completed audits or agencies that have completed compliance monitoring, We have 10 of those agencies, so there are 25 remaining, predominantly community boards. So we have maybe, I think, one bigger agency left, the rest are community boards.
The idea is to get done before December
Yeah,
31st.
that's the goal. We're gonna try and work on that, push for that. And
But you already have
But in terms of
35.
our compliance for what is checked, like by the comptroller, we're good.
we're
because
good
we
now.
sent the
Yeah, we
final
sent all the final
determination.
determinations out already for the calendar. Yeah,
So
so we're
Yeah. Thank you.
That file is applauding.
Get good news, you applaud and you snap.
Okay, that's why I was applauding.
I saw that we don't have a new business, part, so after research update, I'll do a new business, opportunity, and then we'll go to adjournment.
Well, no, I
Executive
want to,
session.
I want to put on, I just want to remind everybody.
For new business? Yeah, I'm gonna go to that after the research update.
Okay, fine.
Research update, report updates,
So are we amending the agenda to add new business?
correct.
Okay.
Would you like to motion?
I move that we amend the agenda to add new business.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so section 7 is now new agenda and adjournment section 8. Okay,
And executive section, section 9.
all right, sorry about that.
No, it's fine. No major updates. So for the local law 13 report that we're required to publish annually, we have a draft. We sent it to DCAS. We had their feedback, and it'll be waiting on the desk of the new executive director whenever they start. So that's it.
We have next new business.
As I attended a New York Law School event, and as part of that event, I went up to the gentleman we had been talking to about doing a dual event, and suggested that we were in the midst of getting a new executive director, so everything getting back to them and dealing with it was pretty much on hold. He said that was fine. He was busy with the mail tea right now anyway, and had no time to think about us. But I just don't want us to lose the opportunity, to restate it ad nauseum, having attended an event that co-sponsored looking at the local budget group that is independent. We were created by the same charter as being an independent agency. We have some history, and given the current situation at the federal level with equal employment and equal opportunity, it seemed to me the timing was probably perfect to try to do a joint discussion with them, having the law school provide perhaps some of the faculty to talk about equal employment and equal opportunity, and having the facility to host it, and more importantly, some of their mailing list, which includes all of the city heads that are interested in this area as well. So I continue to think that we can go with them. The dean seemed to be quite hospitable to it. And Russell, you had done some early research on just this issue, finding some people who were around at the time, not exactly the people who wrote it, but some of the people that were around as enablers and had done the research in the creation. So we have some historic pieces as well that we can put together. Again, I just didn't want us to lose sight of this. And with a new ED who has no knowledge at all, I just wanted to record it as some kind of potential conference that we could do.
Yeah, any other new, I sent the resolution around the concerns around conflicts of interest, consultancy, and the like. I'm happy to just submit it for HR to include if they don't already have it. I'm sure they probably have aspects of that, or we can move it forward as a motion to vote upon if you want to, codify it that way. What's your recommendation?
I think that Mike and I will work together if we can discuss it at the next meeting to review it before we vote on it. That's okay? Okay.
And next we have a motion to adjourn. in order to go to executive session to discuss personnel matters. We have Commissioner Powell, motions. We have second, Commissioner Yeager, second. All in favor, say aye. Nays, abstentions, hearing none. We're going into executive session.
And